This is Slay the Spire 2, this is Cassette, and this is Brotato. All three of these games were made in the same engine, and 5 years ago, picking this engine for a serious commercial game would have been very strange. Godot, the free engine that all three of them were built in. Now, I've got a stake on this one too, and about 2 years ago, I bet my whole business on this engine, but I wasn't too sure if that was very smart. So I went and looked. 1 year, one huge game building competition, Godot nearly doubles, and Unity dropped. A lot of people blamed the Unity fee, and the Unity fee is why people looked, but it's not why they stayed. The fee was more like the spark. 3 other things were the fuel, and one of them is strange enough that I actually had to check twice. Some of the people learning Godot end up actually building Godot. It sounds like nonsense, but it isn't. In September 2023, Unity announces it's charging developers per install. People lose it. A lot of them go and download Godot that same week, and my channel itself also saw a spike in viewers. Now, that part is real. That's the big spike. But a year later, Unity canceled the whole thing. And if the fee was the whole story, that's where it would have ended. People would go back, the numbers would settle, and I wouldn't be making this video. But the thing is, they didn't go back. So, okay, the fee explains why thousands of people opened Godot, but it doesn't help explain why they were still here in 2 years later. Something was waiting for them when they got there. The first one was proof, because one of the biggest things holding Godot back was never a missing feature. It was that nobody could actually point at anything, because nobody bets 2 years of their life on an engine until somebody else does it first. Monkey see, monkey do, essentially. And nobody does it first until somebody else does it first. So you can kind of see the problem here. But then 3 games broke that open, each providing something different. Brotato proved that a Godot game could be a real commercial hit. Cassette proved a tiny team could ship a big, content-heavy RPG in it. Not a Game Jam game, but a real one. And then Slay the Spire 2, arguably one of my favorites, an established studio building the sequel in one of the most copied indie games ever made, and they picked Godot. That's the escalation. It can make money, it can carry real scope, and a studio with something to lose will bet on it. The second one, Godot's open source. Now, I'm sure you might have heard this a lot, but what is open source? The important part here is that you can ship commercial games with it. You can change the engine itself, and Godot doesn't take a cut of anything you make. In fact, Godot doesn't take any money from you at all. That's always been true for years, it just felt like a nice bonus. Because when you build a business on an engine, you're building it on whoever owns that engine. And after the Unity thing, people started asking a different question. How much of the tool, my whole business depends on it, do I actually control? With Godot, the answer is pretty boring. No single company can rewrite the deal on you. But that's the first thing that being open source gets you. Now, the third one, same open source thing, but a completely different consequence. And this is the one that I promised you, and it starts with a bug. So Cassette, that RPG, they hit a wall, a performance problem that the engine genuinely wasn't built for. And normally, that's kind of the end of the road, at least normally. You would file a report, you wait, maybe somebody gets to it, maybe it's not a priority, maybe your game just gets worse. But instead, because Godot's code is public, their programmer didn't have to wait for anyone. He opened the engine himself, fixed the problem, and sent it back. And once it was accepted, that fix is now part of the Godot engine. For everybody, forever. This is what it means to have a community-built engine. And that's not a story about one studio getting lucky. That is the whole machine. Now, by the end of 2024, around 2,800 people had helped to write the engine. One release, 4.3, at over 500 of them. Because think about it, what happens to a closed engine when it gets popular? More users mainly means more customers. And sure, that revenue might improve the engine, but those users still can't change it themselves. The company decides what gets fixed. Now, that is the case for most other engines like Unity or Unreal Engine, but Godot is open. So some of the users will jump in and just become the people fixing it. The users are the engines. Now, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the more people that learn it, some people will fix it, everybody gets the fix. And the point here is that is not how most commercial engines work. Now, as much as I would love to continue glazing Godot, there is something that makes Godot not right for everybody. Consoles are a big one. On PC, you export the game yourself. PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo don't work that way. These tools can't be shipped publicly with Godot. So you will need a third-party console tool or a company that handles the console version for you. Now, those do exist, but obviously they cost money. Unity has a much bigger marketplace of ready-made tools and assets. If your plan is to buy a lot of what you need instead of building it, Unity wins there. Now, of course, you can buy it on Unity and then just port it to Godot, but again, you will have to check some of the policies for that. At the top end, chasing photoreal 3D, Unreal is still the obvious answer. If you want a 3D game, Godot can do it, it just can't really do photorealism. And if your team already has a game working well in Unity or Unreal, switching engines just because Godot is getting popular is not a great way of spending in the next year, but I do want to throw out that that is what Slay the Spire 2 did. They were halfway through making the game, but then Unity did that whole thing and they switched over to Godot. Now, obviously it will take time, but there are a lot of tools to help you port. The point is that not everyone should move to Godot. It's that Godot's a hobby engine stopped being true, and a lot of people still haven't updated. Now, back to that chart. The fee made people look. Proof, ownership, and contribution are why they stayed. And then those three started feeding each other. Games shipped, so more people trust it. More people show up, so more people fix it. It gets better, so more games ship it. A spike comes back down, but this one didn't. That's the difference between reaction and a loop, which is what makes right now strange, but in a good way. You're not early. Whether it can make a real game is already answered, but it isn't settled yet either. One good plugin, one good tutorial, one good game still moves the needle here. Try that on an engine that's been full for 15 years. That window closes. It always closes. It's just not closed yet. So was it a stupid bet? I don't think so. So that's why Coding Quest is built for Godot. And the first lessons are free, links down below. But whether you use it or not, I want you to go open Godot and finish one small game. You'll arguably learn more in Godot in 1 hour than you would in another engine in a week.